Hey everyone, I'm Jason Pacheco and I'm with
Robert Nerney.
And this is the Road to Real Estate podcast. It's a podcast about real estate, small business, and the independent spirit. So today I'm going to be interviewing my co-host Robert Nerney. We did my episode a couple of weeks back. Now it's time for you. So Robert, how's it going? How's your day? How are you feeling this morning?
Pretty good.
It's a couple of days after Christmas, so I think we're still a little tired.
Yes.
Yeah. How was your holiday?
That was excellent. Yeah, we went over to my daughter's house, and my granddaughter Rory she's so funny, and she just she was loving Christmas and her brand new guitar with 4 strings.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So you got a family now, from what I know. Viewers don't, but they're kind of all into real estate for the most part.
Actually, 3 out of 4, and then my 4th, which is my 3rd, is interested. Yes.
Your 4th out of your 3, which is your 3rd, something like that. That's cool. So I know. Starting out. So I guess bring us back. Your beard's telling your age to everyone. So you've got a lot of life lessons and experience, and you didn't just start out in real estate. So I kind of guess where'd you start out in life, and how'd you get here where you are today?
Right. So my wife is from a family of teachers. Her father taught in Providence for years and years, and my wife taught in Providence also. So in order to marry my wife, my father-in-law said you have to become a teacher. So
is that true?
Not really.
Kind of, a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
He loved teaching. My father-in-law. But anyway, so I taught in Providence. I went to Rhode Island College. I got certified through PC, which is another 30 credits, and I taught in Providence for on and off for about 30 years, and then I taught at a few other schools. St. Raphael Academy I taught for a year, and then Sacred Heart in East Providence I taught there for 2 years, and then my wife and I at one point opened our own independent Catholic school, and that lasted 3 years. That was a very difficult venture. It was very interesting. We learned a lot about life, and so I've spent the bulk of my career as a teacher.
Yeah. And have you seen, what are some major highlights or some things you saw how children evolved, parenting evolved over the years? Anything to point out?
Yes. So when I first began teaching back in 1989, maybe it was 1889, you had a lot of autonomy. So people weren't checking in on you, and the day was shorter, the year was shorter. And then with the government interventions, No Child Left Behind, it became more top-down. Mm-hmm. So I think initially it was more organic, and it became more top-down. There was
now. Do you remember
testing.
how long the school year was? I think from what I remember, it was 180 days or something. Do you remember what it was?
Right. So it wasn't 180. It was a little less than that, mm-hmm. And then 180 became the standard, which is a long year, and and just like I said, it did change for me in the inner city, because the testing put a different layer of stress on teachers. Then evaluations became part of the landscape, that more stress and more top down. So it did change. It definitely changed.
Yeah. So what is the term I hear kind of off? I'm tenured, or whatever that means. Want to get into
right.
that?
So initially that was a big thing. So after 3 years, you were tenured. Within the context of the first 3 years, you were evaluated. This goes back to the 1990s. And so they could let you go within the first 3 years. Once you were tenured, it was more difficult. And tenure and seniority were kind of synonymous. So all teachers in the public sector in Rhode Island are unionized, and that's changed a little bit. So seniority was part of it too. It's still, teachers still have seniority, but it's been eroded to some extent. It's a whole.
Yeah. Now, would you say it sounds like that kind of over time it became stressful and you felt the pressure from the higher up down? Is that kind of what led you out of your teaching career, or was it multiple factors? Was there anything specific?
Yeah, I think what led me out was basically, I tried a few ventures. I had a Catholic newspaper, and like I said, we started an independent Catholic school. What led me out, I think, was partly my age, and then the desire I need more freedom. When I teach, I'm an English teacher by trade, and so it takes a lot of time if you're reading novels, prepping novels, or just your daily lessons as an English teacher. It's time consuming. So I don't tend to have that extra energy to do the things that I value. I do value teaching, of course, but I also feel like I need to write, and I need to, like, podcasting is another, I think, a creative outlet for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was my age, and then also things have changed, and it seems like, I hate to use this cliche, but the tail is wagging the dog instead of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. So you ended teaching maybe a year ago?
Yeah, a year ago.
About a year ago.
Yeah.
So kind of, I guess now you're in real estate, and the class time might have between a year and you had a year out of teaching, maybe 4 months of it was classroom, getting your license. So, like, tell us about how'd you get into real estate? What are some struggles so far? And, talk on that a little.
Right. So I got my license. I think I actually officially got it in October. But like you said, you take the 45 hours, you sit for that, you take the test. You have to pass the national test, and then the local test is the laws pertaining to Rhode Island real estate. And I just think, and then we teamed up through my son and my nephew. I think there's a lot to learn, and it's very wide open. And there's on-market, off-market, and we're going to have guests that are going to discuss off-market. We have Walter King coming on in a few weeks. So I just think I haven't really found my focus yet. I think that I'm still struggling with the schedule, my daily schedule. It's just it's wide open, and I just think that I still have a lot to learn.
Yeah, and I mean, in 20 years as a teacher, even a little more, you'd sew like 7 a.m., whatever, to 3 p.m., and summer's off, and you followed a strict schedule. And then you left that regimented schedule to make your own, Robert.
That's a huge challenge, because then I have these other interests like writing, and it's like screenwriting, writing. I have a novel that is being read by a few people right now. So I have these other interests that kind of like, I have to really, I think, solidify my daily schedule. And so I've been struggling with that, and I'll continue to struggle. But hopefully in 2025, I'll get into a routine that I find is productive and is also fulfilling. Yeah.
What I think is cool about real estate, too, is, yeah, like you've said, you've got a creative mind. You like to screenwrite, or is that right? Write books, all of this stuff, podcasts. But real estate all intertwined somehow. Because if you're screenwriting or you're writing a book, there's people out there that you could write a book about real estate. You could be writing a book, and you could be talking in front of people about your book, and that's in front of people. And then real estate's a people, belly to belly, person to person industry. So you're just creating relationships through your book, creating relationships with your publishers and all these people. And then eventually those people need a house too. They need a roof over their head. So it all kind of just intertwines, which is cool. So I guess what got you into real estate, I think you might have hit on it a little, but what really drove you to the real estate world versus pretty much anything? You could have wrote heavy and did publishing or whatever, but you chose real estate.
Right. Well, my oldest son, Isaiah, who is a Providence police officer, he and my younger son, Emmaus, they have an LLC, Nerney Properties, and so they are into real estate, mostly off-market. Well, they're both, off-market definitely, because neither one is a real estate agent. So I think my oldest son's encouragement, Dad, you'd be good at it. It would help solidify the LLC, stuff like that. So I'd say my oldest son.
Yeah, I see you do have a big passion for that off-market space, where a lot of real estate. Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah,
I don't know what I have a passion for.
Yeah, a lot of real estate agents. There's just so much you can do. You can get listings. You can work with buyers. You can do off-market stuff. Some real estate agents don't even know what off-market means, but it's this little niche where a lot of transactions take place, and the majority of the population, the public, don't really know about it. It's not marketed. It's not online. It's not on MLS. It's just this market where transactions happen, and I think it brings a big value to you when you really crack that space for your clients.
Right. Hopefully. So I mean, I'm reading about it. I make phone calls, so I do cold calling, and which is very enjoyable. Most people love to cold call.
Now, where do you cold call? Like, is there any, I guess, do you have any preparation for it? Do you warm up for it? Do you cold call? Do you have a spot where you feel most comfortable and relaxed?
I stick needles in my eye. That helps.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's very helpful.
That's how you get through it.
Yeah. No, but even last night, my son sent me 3 properties. It was funny, and so he said, "Dad, look these up." And so I looked up the properties through Deal Machine, which is a program, a platform that helps you find the telephone numbers to the properties. So I had the 3 properties. The first property, there was no telephone number, or do not call is on the do not call list, which means you don't call that number. There's a legality behind that. And then the second house, I had 2 numbers, and I called the first one, no answer, so I just called the second one, and I got a response, and I introduced myself as Robert, the realtor, and the gentleman said, "Robert, there are many houses out there. Okay, why don't you go look for another one?" I was like, "All right, that's interesting," and he hung up. And then the third, there was no answer. So cold calling is definitely, it's about numbers. You want to do a lot of cold calling. And but for the most part, I usually drive for dollars. I drive neighborhoods. I look for distressed properties. Maybe the roof is old. There's mail in the mailbox. The grass isn't cut. The garage needs paint. So, and then I'll, again, skip trace that address, call them, and see if they're interested in selling their distressed property. Because oftentimes, if it's distressed, maybe they're a little distressed also, and they're looking to sell because they need the money.
Yeah. So have you ever successfully transacted an off-market deal yet?
Not yet.
Has your Nerney Properties, your son, been involved with any?
Yes. So he's been involved with a lot because he works with Patriot Home Buyer, Zach Ballou.
Yeah, I think so.
And so, they've done, last year they did multiple transactions.
Yeah, so you have a good backing there.
Yeah, there's definitely support.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm in the desert on my own like John the Baptist.
Yeah. So I guess tell us a little bit about your cold calling sessions. A lot of people, it takes a lot of nerve and a lot of confidence to break the nerves to get out there and cold call. I know my first 2 years in real estate, I never did it, but I always wanted to. So how do you do it? Do you just do it? Do you have a warm-up for it? Any videos you've watched, anything you can help maybe give some of the viewers that want to cold call but are a little nervous to start advice?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go on YouTube, and there are plenty of videos that show people cold calling, some approaches, and then you could also look up if you want a script to use as a cold caller. I've looked at those, I've read those, I've tried to implement those, but ultimately, I don't know anyone personally that loves to cold call. It's kind of a nauseating type of activity. I don't think we're made for rejection. And so you're going to get rejected over and over again sometimes. And for the most part, because of technology, a lot of people don't answer their phone. So I'll make a call, leave a message, and then I will send them a text. And people have responded from the text messages, but months later, not like, it's not a prompt response. And it's really just, like I said, my wife has done it, both my sons have done it. I think my oldest now, he's kind of... he's got a thick skin, so I don't think it bothers him. But for the most part, I don't know anyone that says, "Oh, I love to cold call. That's how I'm going to spend my holiday."
What's up, everyone? So when I'm not podcasting, I'm in real estate. I'm helping people buy homes. And when people buy homes, they got to get a home inspection. So I have someone I like and trust and use and refer to my clients. That's House Doctor Home Inspections. You can find them pretty much anywhere. They cover Connecticut, Mass, and Rhode Island. You can give them a call. Mike will always answer the phone. It's 401-597-0050. That's House Doctor Home Inspections. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, website, whatever it is. Thanks, Mike, over at House Doctor Home Inspections. Back to the show. So talking amongst yourselves, right? If you had to call X amount of people in order to get a successful sale, and you had to tell the viewers how many people to call every day, and do you have like a benchmark or a number you think you need to do?
My benchmark is 70 per day. It will get me one contact. And then, so really there are definitely statistics out there.
Mm-hmm.
If you go online, the gentleman will say you got to call 100 a day. You get one deal per 1,000 calls. Okay, so that means you've gone out to see maybe 10 houses, and then of the 10 houses, you solidify one deal. So you're talking lots and lots of calls, okay? And there are machines that will call for you. There's a lot of ways to approach it and to get those numbers, but it's definitely a numbers game. And it's like, okay, click, that's fine. Click, click, click. Hello, So you just got to persevere and know that the numbers, they don't lie. So if you're going to spend the time, again, you have to get lists. There are different types of lists you can work from. So, but it's the numbers.
Yeah. So what is the plan? Let's say you do have a good call, and you do find someone that wants to sell their house. What do? Are you planning on buying it? Like, what is your goal?
Right. So, I would go through actually Patriot Home Buyers because they're big and they have the cash to deal with the sale, and I would get a percentage of that sale. So I'm not like an independent wholesaler. Right. So I do have support.
Yep.
But most people, people do. They get the house under contract. For a decent price, like a reduced price, and then they assign that contract to an investor, and they make the money through the assignment. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So they bump up their assignment fee. So if I get a house under contract for $100,000, I might assign it for $120,000. I'm going to get $20,000.
Right. Yeah, and thinking ahead, right? So 2025 is about a week away, and if you could write down kind of if I achieve these 4 goals or 3 goals in my professional real estate career, like what would make you happy? What are some of the goals, some things you want to do that would actually make you happy sitting here in 2025, a year from today, talking about?
Well, I think my perspective. So, I'm a Catholic, and so I'm always working on my faith, and so for me, it's a faith journey. I feel the Lord's led me to this point, and so I don't really. I can write down, I want 30 this, 20 that, but in to be sincere and authentic, I don't think I really care as long as I'm doing God's will. I don't really care, You know what I mean? Because I'm not driven by money. I need to pay some bills. That would be nice. Yeah. And I'm going to work as hard as I can. I'm going to work with you. I'm going to work with the team, work with my sons. And I want to bring Christ to people through my work. So I'm not a money person. I try to live simply. The only thing I spend money on.
All this equipment.
Yes, well, you need equipment. But books. I buy lots of books.
Yeah.
So I want to keep it simple. I think that's a big part of being a Catholic. You got to keep it simple. See how I can serve the Lord. And so I don't have any numbers. I can tell you 30 off market, 20 on market, but It doesn't really mean a lot to me.
Right. So you just want to be happy next year and feel fulfilled.
Yeah, I just want to do the Lord's work.
Yeah.
If he wants to beat me up, that's fine.
Right.
He can beat me up.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm at a stage where I really don't care.
Yeah.
That's who I am.
Yeah.
I'm not.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough to get to that point. I remember, I think we talked about a little bit about me. In the beginning, I really cared. Even in high school, I cared a lot about what people thought.
That's the age, though.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. But I guess a good question would be, when did you get to that point? When you just felt...
No, I'm still working on it. Everyone's in the same boat. We're all part of the same, humanity. So it's a daily thing. Like, I just want to do the Lord's work and try to serve people in that vein. You know what I mean? But you're still young. You're 28, right?
Yeah.
I'm 62.
Right.
So that's part of the road for everyone. You know what I mean?
It's the road to real estate.
It's the road to real estate. Because you don't really want to care what people think about you, because it's a waste of energy, a waste of focus.
Right. What's going on, everyone? So you already know, right? If I'm not podcasting, I'm in real estate, and I need someone to help my clients get a mortgage, get a house, right? And I got John Dolbec. He's crushing it. He's got a team called a Modern Team over at Primary Residential Mortgage. So if you want to get pre-approved and buy your first home, reach out to John Dolbec and his team. Call or text. It's 401-321-4401. That's 401-321-4401. Back to the show. Getting back to, let's talk about just a licensed real estate agent again, because you are a newly licensed real estate agent for about 5 months now.
I think actually it's 3.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it was October.
Okay. So very new.
Yes.
So, but you dove right in. So, why don't you tell everyone about, I guess, kind of what the past 3 months have looked like. What have you been up to talking about you as a real estate agent, on market Robert?
Well, I mean, we work together, right? So as my mentor, and I think that's been helpful. I do feel like there's a lot of things that are, unknown. I mean, like the thing is though, many of the people that I've spoken with, these are agents, have told me that their first few months were very difficult. And some said, some have told me like, boom, right from the get-go, I got a deal. But that's not the norm. And I've heard your story. So usually it takes months and a few years to develop this career. It's not just something that happens overnight.
You did have a rental.
We had a rental.
Tell us about that. How did you feel? Did you feel confident? Did you, I think I know you hosted an open house. How'd that go?
It went very well. I mean, in retrospect, I would have, I think that I would have been a little bit more involved. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it was a positive experience. Your clients are awesome.
They were awesome.
Yeah, I love that family. Very, very nice. Very generous. And so that went well. And but it was a learning experience. I think that I should have been a little bit more proactive as far as when people came in, showing them certain things without being, like intrusive. But yeah, every experience is a learning experience, and so that went very well. And what do you think?
Yeah, I think it went well, but every real estate agent has to find their style too. Like I'm a kind of realtor where we'll let the client look in the house, or even whoever it is. If I'm at a showing, you guys lead the way, and I'll just walk slowly behind them. Then you have some folks that feel like they need to be like, look at this beautiful kitchen. I mean, look at the drawers, and they open and shut the door, and they open and shut the fridge, and they guide the people. There's no right or wrong way.
Right.
You just have to feel what you think's right. And we did run into a small issue with that rental, being the lead paint certificates and stuff. I know you as a owner of an investment multifamily, you're in the middle of this situation. So I guess I don't even know how it went. You were lucky enough to get a lead inspection appointment. How'd that go? How's that whole lead process going? And why don't you tell everyone why I'm asking this question? Why is it so important to have a lead certificate now?
Right. Well, why don't you tell me why it's so important?
Yeah. So I mean, I know always you were supposed to have lead certificates, homes built prior to 1978. I believe that's the year.
Yeah.
But they're really cracking down on it as of October.
Oh, it's a new law.
Really, they're highlighting more fines to people that don't have the certificate that's uploaded to a government portal. So I think there's like maybe 10 lead inspectors, and I think they're all booked up for like 4 months out. You were lucky enough to get an appointment early on. I don't think you passed, Robert.
Well, I'm not sure. So the gentleman came out the other day, and the good news was, because I live on the first floor, that apartment did not have to be inspected because I'm the occupant. And so we went upstairs, and he has a little lead gun, so he can actually tell if it's lead paint or not. And he did detect some lead dust.
That's the bad news.
Bad news. And then he took samples from the floor, from the window sills, and then he noticed on the outside of the house, when the windows were when I got new windows, or when someone got new windows, I didn't buy them. It was prior to when I bought the house. The window jambs were not sealed with vinyl, and so those have to be painted. So I do have some work to do. I just have to coat a few spots, and then I have to actually paint those jambs.
So it's exterior and interior. Yep.
Yes, it's both.
Yeah. What's going on, everyone? So when I'm not podcasting, I'm in real estate, and there's a lot of times where I need to, refer out an excavator, someone to do clean outs, gravel, grading, digging, stuff like that, junk removal. So if any of you ever need any of that type of work taken care of, reach out to Tom at Legacy Excavating at 401-227-5399. Reach out to Tom. He'll take care of you. Back to the show. Do you have a follow-up appointment?
They contact me in a month, and then if those jambs are not painted, and they may not be painted because it's the winter, and then I have 6 months to do that, and I have to pay another $100
Yeah.
for them to come back out.
Yeah.
So it's a process. It's not, it just doesn't happen like that.
Right.
So.
And I guess let's finish off with this story here. I think it's funny. In real estate, you run into a ton of different stories, situations, clients, and you had an open house incident where my phone kind of got a couple texts. Robert at an open house, a little frantic. So what happened that day?
So I show up
again. He's maybe a month and a half into real estate at this point.
Right.
Newly licensed. Yeah.
Right. So this is not my open house. So part of the part of being a realtor is you cover open houses for other people, and when it's not your open house, you're hoping to get someone who's not represented, and getting them to hopefully, you want to represent the buyer. So that's the goal. And so I was at an open house, and I knocked on the door, and then I knocked again. I went to the side door. I knocked on the side door, and I was like, so I did text you and said, I'm not sure what's going on. I can't get into the house. And then you texted someone, and they said, no, there's definitely an open house today. And so the owner was not an occupant. And so I knocked again. This is after being told, yes, there's an open house. It's 11 o'clock to 12, whatever it was. It was probably 11 to 12:30. So I tried the front door, and I was like, oh, it's open. It's unlocked. And so I was very tentative about going in, but I cracked the door and I said, hello, this is the realtor.
The realtor.
It's the realtor from Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden this guy comes out of his bedroom, and he's like, don't tell me you just walked in my house. I was like, well, I don't think I have to tell you. It's pretty obvious. And I was like, oh, this is not a good situation. And he repeated that like 7 times. I'm like, maybe that's all he can say. And then finally I was like, I talked him off the ledge, and I told him that, I'm here for the open house. I don't know anything about an open house. I went to bed at 4. I work at a restaurant. So I did feel bad for the guy that I woke him up. So it was just one of those moments of, I hope he doesn't have a weapon.
Yeah.
And, so everything was resolved, but it was
And you're still licensed.
I'm still licensed, so don't.
Yeah.
If that's a problem.
Yeah. What they do say in real estate is any new real estate agent out there, if you're thinking of quitting, just hang in there for the first 5 years. Seriously, and after 5 years, if you're still just not making ends meet, then quit.
I'll be dead way before 5 years.
Probably.
I'll be in a box.
So I
Which
guess
is fine.
Yeah. I guess we'll end on the same 3 questions we ask all our guests. In Rhode Island, what is your favorite restaurant?
I'm going to say Iannuccelli's, which is in Cranston, and it's an Italian restaurant. It's fabulous, and I think the owner just expanded, so I think he has like a sister restaurant right in the same property because he's done so well. But if you like Italian food, it's fabulous. It's a little tight. It's not a big restaurant. Like I said, he's built a second one on the same property. I haven't been there yet, but I highly recommend it. It's just a really, really great experience.
And what's your favorite Rhode Island coffee shop?
Well, I've only been there once. I have a few. I do like. Well, the one I came across is on Sim Street, and it's called like New Harvest Roasters and Spirits. They sell alcohol there too. But I had a cup of coffee there recently. I was like, this is unbelievable. And I also like. I call it Dash, but it's like cold brew on Broadway. That's a great cup of coffee. And also Wildflower on East Ave is a great cup of coffee. Those 3.
Wow, never heard any of them, honestly. So I have
Yeah,
to check them
I'm
out.
a little
Yeah.
OG on that.
Yeah. And it's Saturday, hypothetically, and you have no work responsibility what are you doing for the day?
All right, on a Saturday, if I've got nothing on the docket, I'm going to get up at 7. I'm going to go work out for about an hour, and then I'm going to go in the sauna for about 20 minutes, take a shower, leave the gym, get a cup of coffee, go home. I'm going to read. I'm going to write, I'm going to probably go to Mass at 4:30 at the Catholic Church down the street in Pawtucket, and have dinner, go to bed.
Dinner at home?
Probably.
Yeah?
I don't
You're
know.
cooking?
Yeah, I love to cook.
Really?
Yeah,
Cool.
I love it.
What's your favorite dish to cook?
That's a good question. I'll do anything. You know what I mean? Like chicken. My son came over for Christmas dinner, and I made filet, and it was pretty good. I'm not a huge meat eater. You know, I don't like pine for meat, but it was good. Yeah, anything. I love to bake. I bake bread.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's episodes completed here, so we got a couple more good ones lined up that we're excited about. So if you enjoyed the podcast, why don't you just give it a like, comment below, and subscribe, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.